Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the Noon News from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your MTN Statewide News this Monday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, topping the news this noon, the latest COVID-19 death toll tops 90,000 across the country. That total in just the last couple hours. And the number of confirmed cases reaches the 1.5 million mark. But here's some promising news. The biotech firm Moderna Therapeutics announced this morning that the first 8 participants in the first phase of its vaccine trial developed some antibodies after a single dose. It's a promising sign from the trial done in collaboration with the National Institutes of Health. Moderna was the first U.S. company to test its vaccine on humans back in March. It's expected to start a second round of clinical trials as soon as next month.
So in phase 2, our responsibility is to expand the safety and immunogenicity database, and it's really a primary focus on safety. The phase 1, the vaccine was generally safe and well tolerated, but 45 people is still a relatively small number. And so we'll be looking across 600 people in the phase 2 study, which will start any day now. And that will be to both confirm that we've got the right idea of the dose, where we believe we're going to see protective immunity, as well as that the safety profile continues to hold up.
If those trials go well, a vaccine could become available for widespread use by the end of this year or early 2021. Well, stock shot higher at today's opening bell, boosted by hopes for that coronavirus vaccine and more fiscal and monetary stimulus to support the economy. The Dow is up 850 points. The S&P 500 soared 3.1% and the Nasdaq 2.4%. Meanwhile, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says the central bank as well as Congress might need to support the American economy through the coronavirus recession. During an interview, he said that last night. Now, here in Montana, 2 more people tested positive on Sunday, one in Ravalli, the other in Yellowstone County. Those positives bring the state's current reported number to 20 active cases, 434 recovered, and just 4 hospitalized. MTN News at this point is reporting 1 less positive case. Meanwhile, Wyoming health officials have reported the state's 8th COVID-19 related death. A Fremont County woman with pre-existing conditions was the latest to pass away. 60 people currently have the coronavirus in Wyoming after the state reported 7 new cases just yesterday. And it's time now to check in on the weather scene. And if we can avoid some hail, it looks like it could be a pretty nice day, Ed.
Absolutely. Yeah, the western portion of the state is where we're going to concentrate today, Jeanelle. As you take a look, we've got showers and thunderstorms that have been moving up from Idaho into western Montana since this morning. We had some flickers of lightning before the sun was even up, but right now mainly rain showers. And it's this area, anywhere between Bozeman and Missoula up towards the north, that's most prone to showers, thunderstorms that could produce wind and hail for today. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to focus more on central and northern Montana. And you can see that severe category is a little higher from Havre, Malta over towards Lewistown. And then we slide over to the eastern plains by the end of the day on Wednesday and off into the Dakotas. We'll break down the details for you in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Ed. Well, many Americans were forced to cancel flights as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and some are finding it extremely difficult to get their money back. Experts say if the airline canceled a flight, the law entitles passengers to a cash refund. Still, airlines often try to convince people to take vouchers that may expire. It's recommended people stay firm with their request for a refund if they need the money. And if a flight did take off and passengers chose not to take the trip, the airlines does not have to reimburse passengers at all. Well, last week, a bill was introduced in the Senate that would force airlines to either give passengers the refund or offer a voucher with no expiration date. Well, with lockdowns being lifted across the U.S., the price at the pump is starting to go back up. Gas has jumped about 5 cents over the last 3 weeks. That puts the national average at $1.97 per gallon. Now, this comes after prices crashed for 9 straight weeks when the pandemic hit the U.S. Experts say prices are expected to keep rising. Well, today at noon, the gates to Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming opened up. Visitation is limited to the lower loop of the park. Guests should expect protective measures during the first phase of reopening, including barriers and sanitation systems spread out throughout the park. 70% of the park's traffic goes through Montana. Governor Steve Bullock says the Treasure State gates won't likely open until June 1st at the earliest. Right now, out-of-state visitors must quarantine for 14 days once they arrive here. Montanans who leave the state and come back in are required to do the same. Well, there's some good news for Montanans who want to take in the outdoors. The Beartooth Basin ski area will open on time for its summer season on May 30th. Now, because the complex is technically in Wyoming, many wondered if they would have to quarantine for 14 days after visiting. But Beartooth Basin posted on its Facebook page that Governor Steve Bullock had granted the resort an exemption from Montana's out-of-state travel ban. The resort is just 3 miles from the Montana border. Lifts will run from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. daily until the snow is gone. Well, today marks the 40th anniversary of the eruption at Mount St Helens. The volcano is located in the Cascade Mountains of Washington State, nearly 100 miles south of Seattle. Mount St Helens was recognized as a volcano in 1835. Now, there have been at least 4 significant eruptions over the past 5 centuries. The blast on May 18, 1980 killed 57 people and did more than $1 billion worth of damage. Well, the Montana Army National Guard conducted a departure ceremony for 3 individuals from its unit on Saturday. Sergeant First Class David Lambers, Staff Sergeant Chris Luke, and Commander Travis Grealish will deploy to Europe for a 1-year tour. Their duty as U.S. Army National Guard firefighters in Europe is to provide fire support in the designated base. The ceremony was held at the parade field in Fort Harrison out of Helena. The soldiers provided last hugs before deployment. The soldiers will first stop in Texas for training before deploying to Eastern Europe. Well, we have more ahead on the Noon News today. We take you to Howard's Pizza, where one location is closing. We'll find out where. The time now is 12:06, but first, Ed McIntosh is in next with your statewide weather forecast.